moving forward.
Tonight, Governor John Carney delivers his final State of the State address. Plus, a former community center health and wellness director pleads guilty in a financial fraud investigation. And the Delaware Department of Justice unveils the top 10 scams during National Consumer Protection Week. What to look out for. Those stories and much more coming up tonight on DETV News. Hello and welcome to DETV News. I'm Matt Ford. Thanks so much for joining us tonight. Making headlines today. Attorneys for the suspended Sussex Central High School principal accused of circulating an inappropriate image of a student released closing statements Monday via a press release. A termination hearing regarding Bradley Layfield reportedly concluded on February 15th. However, the statement from his attorney claims that the school district did not want the defense to make their closing statements at the hearing. The 56-page document outlines 10 charges brought by the district against Layfield, all of which his attorneys say were unproven or denied. A major point in the closing arguments contend that the night prior to the hearing, the charge accusing Layfield of creating and circulating an offensive meme of that student had been dropped, claiming that Layfield was in no way responsible for either of those actions and that it was committed by another school administrator. The statement also calls for the superintendent of the Indian River School District, Dr. Jay Owens, to step down, claiming that he allowed multiple members of his staff to watch surveillance footage of students at Sussex Central having sex in a stairwell on campus. The school district's legal counsel said that the release contained, quote, disproven narratives and character assassinations. The district says that Layfield did not testify or call any live witnesses under oath during the hearing on the 15th. This case is ending where it began, the district statement reads, saying with Dr. Layfield repeating narratives that are unsworn and unsupported, end quote. A decision on how the case will be moved forward could come next week. If it is moved forward, the school board will have to make a vote concerning this case. And turning to other news, Governor John Carney delivered his last State of the State address in Dover earlier today, thanking many in the state government and listing accomplishments made during his tenure. He noted the creation of 30,000 jobs since 2017, the providing for funding for low-income students and English learners in public schools. Teachers have received a big raise, he said, and Delaware has undergone the largest infrastructure plan in state history. A $400 million budget deficit was turned into a $400 million in reserves. Wilmington has undergone an economic resurgence with state assistance and paid leave being instituted for Delaware families. Crime was reduced, affordable housing units are on the rise, and the state passed sweeping climate change legislation. Assault weapons have been banned in the first state and gun safety measures enacted.
In this last year, I'm focusing on leaving the state in a better place than I found it. We should make sure the next governor is in the best possible position to succeed, and we should balance the budget and make sure our investments are sustainable in the long run. And I want to thank everyone in this room for your partnership on this. We don't always agree for sure, but working together is what we do best in Delaware.
Carney spent a good portion of the speech, which was interrupted by hecklers protesting the situation in Gaza, talking about one of his top priorities, public education. He detailed many of the improvements made over the recent years, but said much work is yet to be done.
Here's an uncomfortable truth. Statewide, less than 40% of children are reading proficiently at third grade. Let me say that again. Less than 40% of children are reading proficiently at third grade. And many schools fall short of that average. Imagine if your child went to a school with that kind of result. None of us would tolerate that. But too many children across our state are faced with this reality, and we need to fix it.
The two-term governor who announced he is considering a run for mayor of Wilmington also discussed some unfinished business and challenges ahead, such as skyrocketing healthcare costs. All in all, though, he declared the state of the state as strong and getting stronger every day. And switching gears now, the victim of a deadly crash down in Georgetown has now been identified. State police say 34-year-old Maria Nees Chalel was killed in last week's accident in the area of Bullpine and Shortley Roads when the car she was driving failed to stop and pulled into the path of a container truck. Her front seat passenger, a 29-year-old woman from Georgetown, was airlifted to a hospital in critical condition. The 59-year-old Millsboro man who was driving the container truck was taken to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. And a man is charged with robbing the Little Caesars pizza shop just off Maryland Avenue in Wilmington Sunday. Police said the man was making a purchase when he went around the counter, indicating that he was armed, stole money from the register, and ran. An investigation led to the man's identity. According to police, Laquang Bungie was picked up in Wilmington. After arraignment, Bungie was being held on $66,000 cash bail. The investigation into the incident is continuing. Detectives are asking that anyone who may have witnessed the crime or may have surveillance video or cell phone video is asked to call either number there seen on your screen. And a former Camp Rehoboth employee, Salvatore Seeley, has pleaded guilty to felony theft following a state investigation. Seeley, who served as the organization's health and wellness director for over 20 years, departed in 2021. The investigation began after financial irregularities were discovered, leading to Seeley's plea agreement with the Delaware Department of Justice. He has agreed to pay more than $176,000 in restitution to Camp Rehoboth and faces a recommended 2-year prison sentence at his sentencing hearing on April 5th. The organization has updated its financial control policies in response to this incident. And of the many ways thieves try to separate unsuspecting consumers from their cash, imposter scams topped the list of Delaware in 2023. That, according to the Delaware Department of Justice, which has just announced events and educational material in recognition of National Consumer Protection Week. National Consumer Protection Week runs March 3rd through March 9th. To kick off the week, the DOJ has released a list of Delaware's top 10 scams for 2023 and says the department will be sharing further educational materials online throughout the week. In 2023, the most prominent scams here in the first state were imposter scams, with the DOJ reporting over 2,000 instances of them. Imposter scams involve a person to be pretending someone that you can trust to convince you to send them money. Other common scams here in Delaware were online shopping and negative review scams, auto-related scams, and prizes, sweepstakes, and lottery scams. For more on the top 10 scams in 2023 in Delaware and a full library of National Consumer Week educational videos, you can visit the Delaware Department of Justice's website at attorneygeneral.delaware.gov. And 2 incumbents will return to the Middletown Town Council following a 4-way vote for 3 positions on Monday. Craig Sherman was the top vote getter with 383 votes, and incumbent Bruce Orr received 327 votes. Both won their second term on the 7-member council for another 2-year term. They'll be joined by David Thomas, who finished second in the runoff with 369 votes. And as Delaware gets ready for a legalized recreational marijuana industry, proposed rules are coming out. Informal draft regulations regarding the tracking of marijuana, health standards, packaging, and labeling requirements, as well as advertising, have been released by the Office of the Marijuana Commissioner for informal comment. According to the Marijuana Commissioner, Robert Koop, proposed rules are coming out in sections to gain feedback that could be helpful. The period for informational comment is open until March 29th. Comments can be made at omc.delaware.gov. Recreational use of marijuana became legal last year when Governor John Carney allowed legislation to become law without his signature after it passed the General Assembly. The measure also established the Office of the Marijuana Commissioner for the development of regulations that cover the industry, licensing, and safety. And the Blood Bank of Delmarva has bestowed its first ever Dr. Charles Drew Lifesaver Award to Middletown resident William Garrett. Garrett and his brothers in the Omega Psi Phi fraternity are in the third year of organizing a blood drive within the African American community. According to the Blood Bank of Delmarva, there are more than 40 blood systems beyond the commonly known A, B, and O types, and hundreds of unique blood antigens for sickle cell, and that the blood donated by the fraternity members had an instant impact. The blood bank was able to identify 22 donors who were matches for sickle cell patients. Garrett said that he was humbled to accept the award on behalf of his Omega Psi Phi brothers. The award is named for Dr. Charles Drew, an African-American surgeon and medical researcher during the 1940s. He is considered to be the father of the blood bank. And Amtrak is adding more trips on its popular Northeast Corridor route. Last year saw a 29% increase in riders between New York City and Boston. In response, Amtrak has added additional weekday round trips between Washington, D.C. and Penn Station. It's also offering more weekend travel options between Philadelphia and Boston. Changes will result in a 20% increase in service along the corridor, adding an additional capacity of more than 1 million seats to the route. And Delmar is working to put up banners that would hang on light poles to pay tribute to military veterans or hometown heroes. The hope is that people in town will share information about their loved ones who have served. The project has a special meaning for Mayor Tom Bauer, who's spearheading the effort. He says, quote, "We should pay them back somehow, these guys and girls, women, veterans. They sacrifice their life so that we can do what we do every day." Mayor Bauer says the project will include both the Maryland and Delaware sides of the town. The hope is that the banners will be up in time for Memorial Day. If you're interested in honoring a veteran or sponsoring the program, you can contact Carolyn Foxwell at delmarhometownheroes@gmail.com for more information. And what's the coolest thing made here in Delaware? Well, besides Scrapple and Kevlar, what here is made in Delaware? Well, the answer may surprise you. In the first annual Coolest Thing Made in Delaware contest, more than 130 manufacturers submitted their products to be considered for the title. The contest was launched earlier this year by the Delaware State Chamber of Commerce and the Delaware Manufacturing Association to highlight the state's role as a manufacturing hub in local markets and beyond. Narrowed to 50 products this week through a bracket-style voting system, the coolest thing will be named at the Spring Manufacturing and Policy Conference on March 28th. And that's going to do it for this edition of DETV News. Be sure to follow us across your favorite social media platforms. And for a look at what's happening all around the state of Delaware, head to our website. That's detvch.com. With tonight's news, I'm Matt Ford. We'll see you right back here again tomorrow.